Today on Aging with Purpose, I'm honored to welcome acclaimed author Susan Goldman Rubin. Susan has written over 60 books, many celebrating the arts and themes of social justice. Her latest work, Dragonflies of Glass, the Story of Clara Driscoll and the Tiffany Girls. It shines a light on Clara's extraordinary artistry and leadership during a time when women's contributions were often overlooked. Now, in this conversation, we'll explore Susan's career as a writer, Clara's inspiring story, and why it's never too late for women at any age to pursue their passion and to share their voices with the world. So thank you, Susan, so much for joining us today. I am excited.
Thank you, Sunita, for inviting me. And I've been loving your shows, and I'm
Thank
thrilled
you.
to be one of your guests.
Thank you so much. So tell me, how did you first discover Clara Driscoll and what inspired you to tell her story in Dragonflies of Glass?
Oh, that's funny. It was during the pandemic, and a lot of my writer friends were doing worthwhile things like gardening and cleaning up lipstick drawers. And I thought, I hate cleaning. I hate cleaning up. You can see my office, you know what I mean. And it turned out my editor at Abrams, with whom I've done many books, felt the same way. So when I go to book conferences to sign a new book, which happens, I often will wander through the aisles and pick up a book that looks interesting. And one of the books I picked up was a novel, but at the very back, it told the story of Clara, who did designing of lamps for Mr. Tiffany. And I thought, Tiffany, and I write for kids. I grew up in New York, and I thought, oh, I'm getting shivers now. That's when I know maybe there's a book idea there. So I did some research, which I always do. And sure enough, it had just recently been discovered that the woman who designed those beautiful flower-themed lamps that sell for millions, literally millions of dollars, all were designed by a woman named Clara Driscoll. And I thought, oh, how did that come about? So I did a little more research, and I contacted my editor through email, and he was so excited to have a project himself. I guess he doesn't like gardening either. He's in New Jersey, and I'm in California. So he said, find out something more, and maybe we have a book. And sure enough, we did. And I loved it because I love mysteries. So this was almost a detective story because it was recently discovered. You always have to back up your information. There is nothing more reliable than a children's book that is nonfiction, because we have to very carefully prove all our research and our facts as best we can.
Yeah.
And sure enough, archives contained letters. This was around the beginning of the 20th century. Clara Driscoll grew up in Ohio. I went to Oberlin, so I loved that idea too. But I grew up in the Bronx, but I went to school in Ohio. And she and her mother and sisters lived on a farm, and they would exchange what they called round robin letters. So one sister would write to one, then the next sister would add her story, and then they would pass on the whole packet to the next. And in Clara's letters from New York, where she was working with Mr. Tiffany, she not only described what she was doing, those lamps, she drew sketches of them, proof positive. And those, I'm getting shivers again. That's how I always know I've hit on a good story. And so that gave me the background. And of course, my editor was excited. He has to then bring the project to an editorial board. But even during the pandemic, they were publishing books. So he did it, and it was a go. So I thought, terrific. During this COVID, no gardening, no cleanup. I'm going to be working on an exciting new book.
Wow. So Clara was leading women in the arts at a time when it wasn't common. What do you hope that readers, especially women, young women, take from her achievement and independence?
Oh, golly, it's everything I needed in the 50s.
Mm,
It was a very tough time for women, just before women's rights really struck home. She believed, and so did her mother and her sisters, in living, being loving, maybe getting married, but having an independent career. And Clara loved art. And it's interesting, she lived in a boarding house and became friendly with one of the boarders whose name was Mr. Driscoll. And the rule of Tiffany Company, he was wonderful. He gave men and women equal pay, equal pay. This was at the turn of the century, but women had to be single. So as soon as you got married, the job was over. So in a way, luckily, Mr. Driscoll died after a few years, and Clara went back to the Tiffany Company and
mm,
stayed there for many years. And it's a marvelous, I love that concept, the Tiffany Girls,
yeah.
because she had her own staff of women and they were very competitive with the men. So these issues, which are still important today, of pursuing a career you love in the arts, you can still be married and enjoy family, but life is life.
Yeah.
And in fact, she had a second engagement that didn't work out. And I was so relieved to find that out because she stayed with the Tiffany Company and did fall in love with another boarder. The women and men lived in boarding houses then and
Hmm.
did activities together. And then after 20 some years at Tiffany, she did finally marry a man she liked very, very much. But I always like to encourage girls because I would have loved this myself to, although my parents encouraged my love of art, I also wanted a family and babies, and it was hard to figure out how to juggle all of those, even in the 1950s.
Mm,
So I love presenting a role model, a woman who really pursues. She didn't know how to cut glass. And
mm,
I thought, how do you cut glass? I had to watch videos to try to understand what she learned on the job, which was amazing. So I tried to not make it text heavy, yet to include this process because women sometimes are interested in all kinds of professions or careers or jobs that don't seem typical of girls, but yet can be a wonderful way to make your mark, literally make your mark.
In researching Clara and the Tiffany Girls, what surprised you most about her work and her role in the studio?
Oh, what surprised me most was her leadership role.
Mm,
Here she is. She's a modest woman. I would say a very modest woman, never glorifying herself, just loving the work and wanting to get it right, and being so thrilled, according to her letters home, when Mr. Tiffany approves a design. Oh, he's excited, she's excited. It's a very collaborative effort, not a
mm,
show offy kind of thing.
mm,
And she managed a staff of women who, and I had to put in parens, called girls at that time because my editor is very sensitive to not calling women girls, but they were at that time. And there's a wonderful photo, an actual photo at the back of the book showing the so-called girls, a staff of women that grew to number 35. And they would go on outings together, be friends. It wasn't a competitive situation, it was collaboration. But I want to be sure we mention the illustrator of this book, Susanna Chapman.
mhm.
She, I started out as an illustrator, and I no longer do my own art, but
Yeah.
I choose a lot of photos. And my editor gave me the privilege of joining him in choosing this fabulous artist,
Mhm.
Susanna Chapman. And she added not only vitality and excitement, I keep looking over the book and seeing things I never noticed before.
I
She
was
had
thinking that. A lot of details.
whimsical, like women peeking into flowers.
Mhm.
Really, it's so much fun to really look at this book and enjoy it for readers of all ages, as all the children's books are. But she brought a little byline, a little storyline referring to the letters, showing how it's like a border panel, like a comic strip at the bottom of a few pages, showing Clara riding home and her sisters on the farm. receiving and opening the letters and being swirling with excitement at what she's accomplishing.
Wonderful. And I believe you're going to read something from your book for us.
Thank you for asking me. So this, everybody, is called the title page, and it's just beautiful. Dragonflies of Glass, the story of Clara Driscoll and the Tiffany Girls. And I'll just read the opening page. So I have to hold it up. As a girl, Clara loved to draw every flower and weed on her family's farm in Ohio, daffodils, poppies, and wild carrot. She drew dragonflies and butterflies and even cobwebs. After high school, Clara attended a design school for women. She wanted to be an artist, a designer who makes things. Her mother encouraged Clara and her 3 younger sisters to become educated. Their father had died when Clara was 12, and she wanted to support herself and be independent. At that time, in the mid-19th century, most women who were not raising families became teachers and nurses, not Clara. And independence is something I vote for.
Yes. So tell me this. You've written more than 60 books across your career. How did you first get started, and what keeps you motivated to keep writing this day?
Well, I never intended to be a writer in my family. Growing up in the Bronx, my much older brother was the writer, although he never did publish books, but he was designated and he wanted to. Meanwhile, I just wanted to be an artist. And my dad was wonderfully encouraging, surprisingly up to a point. I didn't know there'd be a cutoff, but there was. And I was lucky enough to go to the High School of Music and Art in New York. And now it's part of performing arts. Just have wonderful schools, that are public schools. You have to apply. And starting at age 10, I wanted to be an artist so badly. And part of it was that I was home a lot with sickness. And I've read that many children's book writers in my age group had the same experience before there were all the drugs that are available now, even antibiotics. You spent a lot of time home alone in bed trying to get better. And books were so important to me in drawing. I just knew I wanted to be an artist. And when I was 10, my mother allowed me to take the subway to go downtown by myself to the Art Students League, which is a wonderful school in New York for people of all ages. I mean, there were mostly grown-ups in my class. And I just focused on art. And when I got married and I graduated college, those all happened at the same time. And I had my first baby. I knew I wanted to illustrate books. So I would work at it, when other women would do other things in their free time if they had a babysitter. I'd be working in the bedroom at my drafting table, trying to develop what I thought might be a portfolio. So I really planned to do it. And I brought out my first book. I just have to show you because I taught for years at UCLA and I showed them all the mistakes. But my first book that I illustrated was Grandma is Somebody Special, because I wanted to break the stereotype. My mother, a widow, went to UCLA classes and had a job. And I thought that was fabulous. So I told the story just to have something to illustrate. And then to my surprise, the publisher said, we love the story. So we're publishing the book. So, okay.
Just happened.
So that's how it happened.
Okay. So you're still writing. Feel free to share your age if you want to.
I'm 86, but I don't know. I don't feel 86. I don't know. I walk a lot every day. Well, I grew up in New York, and I walk fast. That's just what you do in New York. And I cook most nights a week, and I have altogether 6 children. I have to always tell how it works out, and I have great-grandchildren. I gave birth to 4, but I helped raise 2 who think I'm their mother, but I'm really their stepmother. So I guess I'm a good stepmother. And my husband, this is second marriage, which is 46 years. So it's still going strong if we find a good TV show to watch. But we had a son together who's now in his 40s. So, the family, they keep coming, but I keep working. So the book I'm currently working on, and it's just that I really love to do the work. I feel if there's something to tell that hasn't been told, I want to tell it. It's not for my glory, and there's really very little money in children's books. If you're lucky, books go on publishing for a long time. I've been very lucky in that way. And please visit my webpage so you can see some of the books that I did just because I loved the subject and nobody else had told the story. The one I'm working on now with a co-author, I've never done that before. Her name is Angela Robinson Witherspoon. And we're doing a book together called Something from Nothing, the story of Black assemblage art movement. And we're doing it for Abrams. And we're very excited about it. We're featuring 10 different artists. It's really lovely collaborating. It's like having a play date. What can I tell you?
That's awesome. You're going to have to come back and share about that book. So,
Oh,
my other question also is many women over 40 dream of writing a book, but they feel that it's too late. You're still writing in your 80s. So, what encouragement would you give to women who want to start now, but they feel like, I'm too old?
start. I used to teach at UCLA in adult extension, and I would get many people of different ages who came in who had never done a children's book. Sometimes people have a story or a memory of childhood, or one of my colleagues now has her first grandchild, and that she, as a writer, is inspired to do picture books. She never did that before. She wrote novels for teenagers that were very successful. So I would say if you have trouble starting, look for a class. Sometimes a community center might have a class. Online, you can find a class. Universities in extension, you're not going to get a grade. I mean, you just go in to learn some of the fundamentals. And there are wonderful books out there. My mentor and dear friend who recently died, Uri Shilovitz, wrote a wonderful textbook called Writing with Pictures. I mean, if it's too hard to start by yourself, and it often is, just join a class and have some guidelines. Where do you start? And don't worry about publishing. Just worry about finding that story in yourself that you want to tell and shaping it. And the most important lesson I ever gave in class is read. READ. And I used to take my kids to the library. I'd let them each take one book. I would take all the rest because the only way you learn how to really write is by reading, whatever genre interests you. Angela, in fact, got together with me because she wants to write a memoir about her late husband, who was a very famous comedian. And I said, read. You got to start reading a lot of memoirs to see what makes a compelling memoir. So that's my advice. And I wish I could be helpful. I belong to an organization called Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. If you're interested in writing for children, I mean, that's a great organization to hook into with chapters all over the world. But really, going to a class can be so useful. You're with other people and you don't feel so inhibited and scared. Just do it, or designate a certain amount of time, a certain time of day, in a certain notebook, and just write whatever comes to mind. It might surprise you.
How do you balance writing with, you have family and all your responsibilities in life in general? And what advice would you give to women who are juggling multiple roles while hopefully pursuing this creative work?
Oh, it's so hard. Thank you for asking that. You're my new best friend. Thank you. I'm going to call you from time to time.
Feel free. You got my number.
Well, I'm just disciplined. I loved school. I'm just one of those girls, women who really loved school. So I try to get into my office, which I love, every day about the same time, unless there's a medical appointment. Or like yesterday I love them, family, back to back. But I try to get into my office. I try to touch base with my work every day of the week. I studied with a wonderful mystery writer named Joe Hansen, who wrote mysteries for adults, and he was gay, and he made his main character a gay detective, which was unique at the time. And I studied with him at UCLA, and I published 2 mysteries with his help. He was wonderful because I like writing different kinds of books. And his rule was just be in touch with the write every day of the week. Because he wasn't Jewish as I am, he said the only day he didn't write was Christmas, but because that was a special holiday. But honestly, I work on the weekend, not because I have to, because I love to. And I always try to end what I'm doing, even if it's only a couple hours possible that day. I hope my husband isn't listening. Usually, you'd rather be in your office. But I try to end somewhere where I know I'll want to pick up again. At a point where now I know what the next thing is that I want to look up. So that gives me a place to go to. And, I'm very disciplined. I just really am. And I can't help it. He says I'm the most disciplined person, not in keeping house. Oh, look at this. This is neat. I'm a terrible housekeeper, but I can focus and I love the subject, else I wouldn't be doing the book. In other words, if it doesn't grab me and really excite me, then what's the point? It won't excite and grab readers. Also, I belong to a wonderful writers group. They're professional writers. And by the way, there are classes being offered all the time, even online, if you're interested. And that can help. It's a little, okay, I've got to get something done in time for our meeting in 2 weeks. And I don't want to miss that chance. And it's a friendly critique. And it's wonderful. It's a way of getting social life that matters to me. And also helpful critique. And having the chance to critique others can give you ideas for yourself.
Now, looking ahead, what are you mentioned the project that you're working on right now. How does, I guess you could say, your current work, how does it continue your mission and regarding bringing hidden women's stories to light?
Because somewhere along the line, I'll find something else that I think, this is what I would want to write about. Mm-hmm. And I really have to have a cue, what they call in England a cue, a line. Because I am doing another book for another publisher on theater, which I love. It's called Curtain Up, 10 Leading People in Theater and How They Got There. This covers men and women and playwrights, and I love it. And then doing the research, I'll hit on, wait a minute, I'd love to write this. And then I also have projects. I do have an agent, and she's wonderful. And she says, well, Susan, I can only do a couple at a time. And so she's right now trying to market a book that I love very much. And I must mention that I'm doing a book on a Jewish artist. Oh, golly, an expressionist artist, Chaim Soutine. I've been working on this project maybe 20 years because I began by going to Paris and seeing where, in fact, he started. I love this project so much I could spend 2 hours just telling you about it. So that is on what is called a back burner, because if I have something literally under contract, I really am responsible to deliver. I have a deadline, literally a deadline. So I don't think about health. I mean, forget it. I think about other kinds of deadlines, but I do have to take care of my health. So I don't know. I think it's exciting to have something you're excited about. Mm-hmm. But as I say, I really love movies and TV and going to restaurants and a glass of wine at the end of the day. So, it isn't work. And of course, my family.
You are really inspiring. I want to be you when I get in my 80s. You have like several projects going on, plus family, personal life. That is amazing, Susan. Thank you so much for sharing both Clara's story as well as your own journey. I think my audience will definitely find many levels of inspiration in it. Just remember, ladies, Dragonflies of Glass is a powerful reminder that of women's contributions, how it matters, and that it's never too late to create, to lead, and to share your voice. So for those who are watching, you can learn more about Susan's work at Susan, Susan, GoldmanRubin.com. And of course, as usual, her website is right below. I'll have more information in the description box as well as a link where you can go directly to her website. Thank you so much for joining me today, Susan.
Sunita, this has been a joy. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank
I love
you.
you.
This episode is sponsored by the Knee Pain Reduction Strap from HealMyKnees.com. If knee pain is slowing you down, whether it's during your daily walk, a workout, or just climbing the stairs, relief is here. The Knee Pain Reduction Strap is a simple, comfortable solution designed to target pain at the source and support natural movement. It's lightweight, easy to wear, and already making a difference for people who are looking to stay active without pills or bulky braces. Your knees deserve better, and now they can feel better too. Visit healmyknees.com and learn more about how this new innovation can help you move with confidence, and tell them that Aging with Purpose sent you.